Hey everybody, and welcome to some of the details on the stress-free challenge. So this is a quick video that I'm putting together just to give you some more details about what the challenge entails and also what we're going to be doing across the 4 weeks. So welcome. It's probably an interesting time to be doing a challenge right now because it's going to be right through Thanksgiving and in the middle of the holidays. But actually, this is the perfect time because this can be a really stressful time of the year when there's so much going on. Like schedules are changing, daylight savings time just happened. The holidays are coming up, so it can just be really overwhelming going into the end of the year. So that's why we have this challenge is for you just to have some habits that you can focus on each day that you can stick to hopefully keep yourself grounded. So you want to be able to control things where you can control them and let the uncontrollable factors just kind of do their thing. So why are we focusing on stress management? Well, for one, work-related stress is a direct factor in about 120,000 people's deaths every year. And not even just work-related stress too, but you can imagine like stress that comes from things outside of work, family-related stuff. Stress can be found pretty much everywhere. Chronic stress is associated with a lot of different types of diseases, heart disease, digestive issues, memory disorders, diabetes, cancer, amongst like a whole bunch of other things. But if you can figure out how to manage your stress effectively and get in that mindset, it can help you be a lot happier, healthier, and just kind of give you less anxiety over a lot of things. So, favorite part about this challenge in particular is we're not, making you completely do a nutrition thing where you're going to omit every single thing. This one, we really want to focus on more than just nutrition only, but also on some lifestyle habits, sleep, but mainly few things that you can do to help organize your mind and organize your lifestyle. So these are some things that you may have been neglecting. There's really simple things that you can do in the morning and the evening to organize your day a bit better. So you can go into each day just having a little bit more clarity on what that day is going to entail. These are just really easy, practical things that you can do that hopefully will be sustainable. So again, this challenge is all about simplicity. So starting with really simple, easy things that you can do the first week, and then adding on one simple thing the next week, and then another simple thing the next week. So simplicity is going to make things a lot easier for you to do. If things are really complex, if you have to measure stuff, if you have to suddenly get rid of everything in your cabinets, and it just gets way too complicated. So we just want to make these really easy and simple things that you can do that take less than a couple minutes a day to incorporate. Biggest thing is sustainability. So these should be items that, people who are generally anxiety free or stress free or just have less stress in general generally do every single day. So you want these things to be able to stay in your lifestyle from day to day. Maybe not all of the little habits that we're going to incorporate, but you can take the best of the ones that work for you. Effectiveness. So obviously we aren't going to be including the things that aren't going to work. So we want to make sure that the habits that we include are tried and true things, things that we know work towards helping you manage your stress, and then also habit focused. So, the saying goes, the success is not based on one time dramatic changes or transformations, but based on every single little atomic habit that you do every single day. And if you've read the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits, it's a really fascinating read about how the smallest things that we do every single day create the person that we are. So if you want to become a certain type of person, then everything you do that day is a vote for the type of person you're going to do. So you want to make these things automatic. You want to make these things contributing to the type of person that you want to be. Okay, so there's actually 4 areas. There's 3 on this presentation here, but the 4 areas that we're going to focus on. Number 1 is omitting sugar and alcohol. And there's going to be 2 different kinds of levels of omitting sugar. There's going to be less sugar and then completely no sugar, where you get rid of everything that has even the slightest bit of sweetener in it. But we're going to allow 2 different levels, and each are going to have different points. Like you just minimize sugar in general, it's 1 point, but if you get rid of everything in general, it's 2 points. No alcohol is also another component of that too. So if you just omit alcohol entirely that day, you get 2 points from that. So that is going to be held across every day across the 4 weeks. And I know going into Thanksgiving, it can be a little hard, but hopefully you can be a little bit more mindful around these areas. And if you drop off one day, it doesn't mean that you're totally out of the challenge. You can pick up the next day. Again, these are about habits that you can sustain every day. It's not an all or nothing type of thing. We're going to also focus on morning routine. So that's number 2. And then as well as evening routine. So something that you're going to do every evening before you go to bed or sometime you generally before you wind down. And then our 4th category is going to be movement and exercise. So we're going to give you one thing to focus on each week that you can layer on. So just really quick, we have to have a legal disclaimer. We're not medical professionals. This is a fun challenge to help you support stress management. So obviously talk to your doctor, consult a medical professional if there are specific things that you need to do. But again, just this is a fun challenge. We are coaches. We are here to give you suggestions and help on lifestyle changes. So let's talk about our first category, no sugar and alcohol, just a little bit more in depth. So, sweeteners, sugars can really weaken our ability to deal with stress. We don't want sugars or desserts or thing to be our way of coping with stress or our way of dealing with boredom, for example. So it's sometimes when we feel anxious, the first thing we think about is turning to sugary items or things to help us deal with the short term in that moment. But it can weaken your body's ability to respond to stress. And alcohol, in the same manner, can create stress on your liver. Obviously, we're not saying you're going to quit this forever, but if you can find a way to remove it for 4 weeks or 30 days, or just have a lot less, just seeing how your overall mental health improves, or maybe you might get better sleep, or maybe you end up having more money in your wallet because you're not spending as much on drinks or sugary items that day. So it's only 4 weeks. You can do it for 4 weeks and just, take a chance and try omitting it and see how you feel. And if you might find that some of these things are your vices, like maybe you end up defaulting to these things because you're used to it. It's a habit for you. So what we're trying to do is create the habit of you not having to rely on those things all the time. So again, this is every day for 4 weeks. You're going to get up to 2 points if you omit sugar. So 1 point if you just decrease sugar. So if you're used to getting a coffee with chocolate syrup in it, so mocha every morning, maybe switch to a latte. That would be one way to just reduce sugar, or saying you're not going to have a cookie or you're not going to have dessert. If you're going to go completely no sweeteners, it means looking at every ingredient that you have in your pantry, in your fridge, looking at that ketchup label, seeing if it has an added sweetener, sugar, sucralose, dextrose, whatever sweeteners are in there. If it says added sugars on the label, that's out. So just omitting any things that have any added sugars. And that is the complete 2 points of absolute no sugar. Morning routines. So again, as I mentioned, week 1, we are going to start with one habit. And then moving into week 2 and 3, we're going to add an additional habit on top of that. So the week 1, we're going to focus on morning gratitude. And it's as simple as finding a journal and writing down, about 1 to 2 minutes, what are you grateful for? And you're just taking a moment to think about gratitude, something positive. It's proven to expand the mind. It's where negative thinking can kind of constrict our thinking, our minds. So, according to an article by Harvard Health, in positive psychology research, gratitude is strongly and consistently associated with greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. So that is the focus. The journal that we are providing with the challenge does have a prompt during those week 1s to focus on writing down gratitude. And then week 2, we're going to also add on top of the gratitude a daily 3. So all we're asking you to do is think of 3 items that you would like to focus on during that day and just writing down those 3 items. It can be anything as simple as make sure I go to the grocery store to get food to prep for this week. It could be as simple as I got to make a phone call to reschedule this appointment. So, three very important things that you need to get done that day that you want to focus on. So, make sure that they're doable. If you write them down, is it something you can do right away, or does it take less than 2 minutes? Can you just step in and do it? You'll be surprised how much more relieved you will feel if you just get those three things done. And then on week three, now we're going to add on top of the gratitude and the daily three, a visualization of your day. And it could be as simple as taking 2 minutes to just sit, meditate, and think about what is your day going to look like? What are you doing in the morning? Do you have any appointments coming up? Do you have to bring your kids somewhere? Or is there something that you're not sure about that you have to schedule in your mind? So, visualizing your day, you can write this down. It can be as simple as just taking the time to do it. And each of these things that we are adding on is 1 point. So week one, there's 1 point available for morning routine. Week two, there's going to be 2 points available. And then week three, if you do all these three items, there are 3 points available. And then week four, we continue what we are doing weeks 1, 2, and 3. Talk about evening routines, sleep. So the very first week, all we're going to focus on is getting a minimum of 7 hours of sleep. If you get 7 hours that night, it says 8 here in the webinar, but 7 hours is the minimum that we're going to go with to get your point for the week. So if you just focus on that for the first week, and maybe what you might need to do is think about what is preventing you right now from getting your 7 hours of sleep. Are you going to bed early enough? That's probably the biggest thing, is making sure that you are stopping things early enough in the evening so that you get in bed early enough to get that 7 hours. And that's probably the most common thing. So it might help to take some time to think about what you could do with your evening routine to make sure you're in bed a little bit earlier so you get that consistent 7 hours of sleep based on when you need to wake up the next day. Week two, now we're going to add a journaling or brain dump session. The journals we provide are going to have 5 different prompts that you're going to use to help with journaling, although you are more than welcome to take a free open lined journal and just brain dump whatever you want. As long as you're spending that time to journal in the evening, you get a point for that as well as the 7 hours of sleep. Week three, now we're going to add a little bit of planning. So in addition to journaling, you're also going to plan out what does tomorrow look like. So thinking about what does the morning have, what do you have to do in the afternoon, what's in the evening, bedtime. So in addition to the daily three that you're going to think about for the next day, now you're just going to visualize what does your schedule look like tomorrow. And it will just be much more stress relieving waking up knowing that you already have in your mind what that day is going to look like. Instead of waking up and trying to figure out that morning, already having it pre-planned. It's like getting your clothes out the night before when you have to get to the gym at 5:15 a.m. It's so much quicker if you already know what you're going to wear. You don't have to think about it 10 minutes before you have to leave. So planning tomorrow is just another way to feel less stressful. Lastly, let's talk about our fourth category, which is movement and exercise. So first day, first week, we're going to focus on adding in 15 minutes of movement per day. And you can count the classes that you attend at the gym. But if you come less than 5 times a week or so, you're going to have to add in a couple of days with 15 minutes of movement. And this can be anything from going out for a walk, although you'll have to look at week two because we're adding in a walk there. So it could be a run. It could be, active game, playing with your kids, anything activity related. If you're doing really hefty yard work, we could count that too. So if it snows and you have to shovel for about 15 minutes, definitely count that as movement. Okay. So, but the more you come to the gym, obviously you're going to be able to count that towards your exercise. So it just makes it a lot easier. Week two, we're going to add in a 10-minute walk. So, constant high intensity exercise is a stress. So sometimes it is helpful to have just a moment where you're just walking and, getting up on your feet. Maybe it's a time to de-stress from work during lunch break. If you work at home on the computer, getting up and just taking 2 or 3 minutes to walk around. I know the weather can be a little cold right now, but if you get in the habit of taking some type of daily walk, maybe it's going out with your kids and playing out with them, like maybe they're on the bike or something. Just aiming to accumulate 10 minutes worth of walking a day. It doesn't have to be 10 minutes continuous. Lastly, we have mobility. And I know that's an area a lot of you want to focus on. So including a minimum of 10 minutes of mobility per day. And I am going to include a video of a 10-minute routine that's got about 5 or 6 movements that you can follow along with. If you aren't that creative and can't think of mobility routine in your head, so that you can follow along with that video. And it's just a classic 5 or 6 movements that we usually do in class anyway. So you're going to know what those are. So again, each one of those have 1 point. So week 1, 1 point, week 2, 2 points, and week 3, you have 3 points. So in terms of tracking and scoring, there are going to be spots in your journal for you to write down your points every single week. I also am going to provide a printout sheet that looks like this. If you want to just have this really easy on your refrigerator or someplace you can access just to have your points at a glance. So it's super easy for you to, log that into Chalk.it Pro and calculate it. It's a really quick reference sheet. But again, you can use a journal. You can use this PDF sheet that I'm going to provide you. We are going to use Chalk.it Pro to track your points. And I'm going to show you how to access that app here in just a second. So you are able to use it just like the regular class leaderboard to add your points in. We can also use the provided journal as well to log your points. However, if we're going to add all your points for the raffle at the end, they do need to be in Chalk.it Pro, so I can take all of your points and be able to add them at the end. So let's talk about Chalk.it Pro, how to access that. So on your phone, if you log into Chalk.it Pro at the very top, I think you can sort of see on my screen here, but there is, I'm going to move this around. There is a little icon and it says current track. So if you click on that, mine says a CrossFit level method. It should show for you the stress-free challenge. Now, you aren't going to be able to see it until you sign up for the challenge. So if you don't sign up, I'm not going to have you on that track. It is a private track. But if you sign up for the challenge, I'm going to add you to it and you should be able to see that option. So you're going to click on stress-free challenge. And then the challenge starts on November 14th, Monday. So you're going to see some prompts that show up and you're going to be able to chalk it and log your points in. And you just log the total number of points that you have that day out of a possible, I think the first week, you have 2 for no sugar alcohol and then 1, 2, 3 for the other. So it's a possibility of 7 points. 2 for sugar, 2 for alcohol. So that's 4 plus 3 for the other 3. So 7 points total. So you log your points in, any notes that you want to put there, and that's how you're going to keep track of your points each day so I can enter you into the raffle. And then remember to go back to the regular class programming. You're going to go over to the track again and switch to the CrossFit level method track. You can also use the Chalk Talk as well. If you wanted to write any comments, it's a great spot for group conversations. The other thing we're going to provide everybody here is a journal. So if you're doing it as a family, we're going to do up to 2 journals and you can purchase additional ones for $5. But each week I designed the journal so that you are given the prompts that you need as they come along each week. So week 1, the pages are much shorter because there's only 4 things we're focusing on. So there's a spot for gratitude and then points for the 4 different items. And then you've got week 2, where we're going to add on a little bit longer page that has the spot for journaling and your daily 3. And then week 3 is going to have the visualization as well as the planning tomorrow piece. But remember, if you do use the journal, you still have to log your points in Chalk.it Pro. Otherwise, they're not going to count towards the raffle. So you still have to digitally put them in. You don't have to do it the day of, but it does help every single night or the morning of to log those points in. So you get in the habit of doing that. You don't have to spend an hour putting all your points in on the very last day. So that is all that I have about the challenge. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, talk to us during class. Hopefully this gives you a little bit better idea of what this challenge is about. And we look forward to having you all do this starting on Monday the 14th.